Scene Goddess, The Wrath of the Fonz, Smokepit Fairytales, Part 2. Chapter 4, Ivan and the Mech.
Wake the fuck up! Get out of your goddamn rags!
Someone was screaming at us to get up, and it wasn't the voice of a Lance Corporal getting someone up for fire watch. I opened my eyes, and the lights burned a hole through the back of my head. I winced and covered my face. My body felt like it was in the ocean, and the whole world was spinning. I was still drunk. I looked at my watch. It was 04, and I'd only been asleep for about an hour and a half. What the fuck? I half sat up and saw First Sergeant DeLeon screaming,
"Get your fucking camis on, and hurry the fuck up, get to the auditorium!"
What the fuck, man?
Eclair rubbed his head. I don't know, dude. First Sergeant grabbed the Marine walking to the head.
"Don't bother shaving. Just get your shit and get down there."
I looked at Eclair. Fuck, dude. What happened? We scurried to get our clothes on. I kept falling over. My entire universe was a gloomy fog. We made our way to the building behind the company offices. The room looked like it used to be a basketball court, but only the benches still stood in the empty space. Everyone was seated on the flimsy sheet metal benches, hunched over from the lack of sleep and hung over. We were called to attention. The battalion commander walked into the room. Lieutenant Colonel Memnon seated us before our wobbling got the best of us.
Good morning, gentlemen.
The light colonel addressed us.
Good morning, sir.
We groaned in response.
I know we just set you out on liberty, and I'm sorry to have to awaken you this early on your days off. However, a situation has developed. About an hour ago, Russian Federation forces stormed the Latvian, Estonian, and Lithuanian borders. Considering that's less than 50 miles away from us, we're officially about to be in the shit. This battalion has received orders to evacuate civilians from Dagavulupis. Now, we do not have current information on where Russian forces are, but they are heading this way. I don't know if any of you are aware, but the President of the United States and several senators and other members of the staff are in Dagavulupis as we speak. Never mind who butt-fucked the intelligence on the Russian military movements and let that much of our government get that close to what could potentially become the front line. We're going in to pull people out. Our main objective being American civilians. There's already a SEALs team extracting Mr. Menelaus. We're just picking up the rest. Your company commanders will relay to you the information on your specific missions. We may have to harden the fuck up on this one. Semper Fi, gentlemen. I'll see you out there.
The Marines broke up into their companies. Eclair and I decided to tag along with Fox since that's where the most familiar faces were. Captain Sancho, Fox Company's commander, tried to give us a motivational speech, but I wasn't sober enough yet to tell for sure if the whole thing was actually happening. After the captain left, the executive officer, Lieutenant Toshi, briefed us the what, where, and how of the mission. We drew our weapons and ammo and loaded up into AAVs outside. We tracked towards the city. The hatches on top of the vehicle were open for the Marines to have their rifles at the ready, pointed outwards. I was at the front of the hatch, letting the cold air and snow hit my face in a vain attempt to sober up.
"I'm not sure if I should be scared or excited,"
Eclair said from behind.
What?
Doc asked from the darkness.
My dad was in the army during the Cold War, so I've always wanted to shoot commies, but I ain't killed anything besides jihadists yet.
Doc's eyes were bloodshot, as were the rest of ours. He shook his head at Eclair.
Hopefully they don't have close air support.
Dogville started coming into view. The city glowed orange and black. The architecture was silhouetted by fire. Thick black smoke rose into the sky. A red aura from the flames' light bounced off the snowy clouds, and fog illuminated the night sky. The view started to sober me up. I had never seen anything like it. I was used to fighting people in godforsaken shitholes and desert mud brick villages. Combat where civilized people who didn't have sex with animals lived in a place with steel, glass, and lights. That had never crossed my mind as something I would ever see. We hit the outskirts of the town. The ramp at the back of the track fell, and the Marines darted out. Each platoon was to disperse, search for civilians, and bring them back to the AAVs where they could be taken further west. The enemy situation was unknown, but we could hear gunfire in the distance. There was a detachment of Latvian soldiers herding people into trucks already and driving them away. Fox Company split into squads and started combing the city, each with some sort of vehicle trailing them. We had a Latvian highback Humvee. The power was out, but the fires from the building kept it bright enough that we didn't need to use our night vision. My sight was still a little blurry from the night before. Hey, I nudged Fonzie. Remember out in the chaff?
Yeah, bro, but this shit's eerie. I really hope they don't make us try to retake the city alone.
Yeah, I'd like to just grab these fuckers and leave.
No, but with just one battalion? There'd be no sense in having everyone killed in a fight that was far beyond uneven in numbers. We don't even have armor.
Fonz stepped over a crumbled concrete lamppost that had fallen in the street. Thanks for reminding me. We passed a shop with broken windows. Glass was shattered across the sidewalk. There was a small family inside. One of the Marines extended a hand to coax them out. We put them in the back of the truck and kept walking. I tried to take photos of it, but it was too dark. We skirted the streets looking and listening for movement. A man came around the corner a block or two down. He was in rain boots, a bathrobe, and a leather jacket. The man ran until he saw us. He stopped dead in his tracks and stared at us in horror. McMillian put his hands in the air and yelled,
"American!"
The robed man eased his stare but stayed weary. McMillian waved him over.
"American?"
The man shouted back.
"Yes!"
The man crept up to us. He kept looking over his shoulders. He had bags under his eyes and a 1,000-yard stare. He wrapped his arms around McMillian and cried something in Latvian.
"It's okay, man. It's okay."
McMillian tried to comfort the man.
"Do you speak English?"
"Little."
The man nodded his head and took his arms off the Marine.
"We're taking people out of here. We're taking them west. You understand?"
"Yes, yes."
"We're trying to find people who can't get out on their own. Can you point us to where more people might be?"
The man pointed southwest.
Apartment.
"Awesome."
McMillian escorted the man to the truck and helped him in the back. We couldn't see the sun because of the clouds, but its light brightened the eastern sky. It wasn't comforting. Neither was the burning ash that fell alongside the fat snowflakes. McMillian said,
"Sergeant Palacios. Hey, Sergeant Palacios.
What is it?
The truck is getting pretty full. Think we should head back?"
Fonzie halted the squad and radioed the company. I took the first photo of the day. Buildings burned the sky behind Fonzie as he radioed higher for more information. I took another picture of the truck. It was packed to the brim. There weren't too many more people fitting inside of it. They were all miserable. Dirty, tired, scared. They just lost everything they probably had, and their lives changed forever. I took another photo of Doc looking over the Latvians in the back of the vehicle, seeing to any medical issues they might have. Fonzie grabbed Corporal Flynn.
Hey, give one of your lances a radio and send him back to the rally point with the truck.
Aye, Sergeant.
Doc hopped out of the vehicle and walked with us. Fonzie looked back at the squad as the truck full of Latvians disappeared into the city behind us.
All right, Marines. Tactical column on me.
The squad got into a loose formation and started heading down the grim alleyways. Using the main road would have been a poor choice as far as cover and concealment went.
Sup, dude?
Doc whispered beside me, keeping his eyes on the windows looking down the alleyway. You're looking at it, man. Just hope I don't get mugged.
Yeah.
After the alleyways and through the city, we bounded across streets and parks until we saw a complex of hotels. They were dirty and ridden with bullet holes. I looked over at Doc. Hey, where's Ivan?
I don't know, man.
There's bullet holes and shell casings everywhere. Did they just do a fucking drive-by?
I don't know, but it's freaking me the fuck out.
The squad started clearing through the buildings. They were all shelled. We found a lot of people in there. None of them were still alive, and fewer were still in one piece. The roofs were caved in or collapsed, and the walls were Swiss cheese. Everything was charred.
This is fucking worse than fucking Tehran.
Flynn muttered. I looked back to him. Yeah, I didn't make it that far.
That was fucking bad. But this is going to beat that into the dirt.
I don't know about all that. I started taking pictures. Flynn barked at me.
Sergeant Allensworth, are you fucking sick? Why are you taking pictures of all this shit?
Fonzie defended me.
S2's gonna want to see this. Keep doing your job, Kodak.
Flynn stood there in shock. People are gonna need to see what those communist fucks are doing.
Yeah.
Flynn, quit hassling him. I think I found someone.
The Marines ran over to Fonzie and started helping him pull someone out of a pile of rubble. The man groaned as we pulled concrete and rubble off of him. I saw a hand lift from the debris. I grabbed it and hoisted up the man's body. He was on his feet, but still looking down at himself. I put my left hand on his shoulder. Hey, don't worry, man. We got a corpsman that'll check you out.
Oh, thank Jesus you're American. I was starting to think I'd never get out of there.
He lifted his head back to the ceiling. I dug around in my flak jacket and handed him my canteen. You thirsty, dude?
Yeah, I'm...
He looked at me in the eye and stopped. He glared at me as if he knew me. He opened his mouth to finish a sentence, then I recognized him and closed his cock holster with my fist. He fell to the floor with a thud.
Whoa, what the fuck, Comcam?
I tightened my fist and my Kevlar knuckled gloves and took a fighting stance over the man's body. He was holding his bleeding face and swearing. Fonz, you remember that chick I was talking about on our first deployment?
Sangin?
Now's that.
That satin bitch that left you for...
Don't call her a bitch.
The man on the floor said, holding his face.
No fucking way.
Yeah, fucking way.
Ay, Dios mío, you were so fucked up about that.
I glared over at Fonzie.
I'm sorry, dude. It's just hard to imagine a chick leaving you for a fat fuck like that.
The man stared at me confused.
Hank? What the fuck are you?
Real fucking coincidence, right, Bryan?
Dude, that was almost 10 years ago.
Bryan fingered the blood oozing from the laceration on his face. I took a deep breath in and put my hand out to him to help him back up. He looked at me distrustfully. I'm not gonna hit you again.
Bullshit.
He spat a glob of blood onto the floor. I grabbed his arm and forced him back to his feet. He looked at me with a mild shock.
Is there anyone else around here that you know of?
Bryan didn't take his eyes off me.
My wife should be with some of our associates about a mile away.
I glared at him. He smiled a little, and my heart sank. She's here too?
Yeah.
I pointed my thumb at him. Hey Doc, you want to put some Quick Clot on this fat fuck's face? Doc came over and pulled out some ointment and gauze.
What's Quick Clot?
Doc started rubbing the ointment into the cuts on Bryan's face.
It's a powder that immediately stops bleeding.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Is it alien?
No, it's been around for years, but you don't want it.
Why not?
It burns.
Bryan winced.
I think I can take a little burn to make my face stop bleeding.
Doc looked over at me frustrated.
Hank, this is the guy Satin left you for?
She didn't leave him. She came to me before the two of them even started fighting.
Doc pulled out a packet of Quick Clot.
Okay, dude. Lie down.
Bryan laid back on the rubble covering the cracked floor. Doc opened the little green bag of powder.
Close your eyes. You don't want this in them.
Doc spilled the white contents of the packet onto Bryan's cuts and immediately tossed the bag and pressed down on the wounds. Bryan screamed. His whole body twisted in pain, trying to push Doc off. Two other Marines and myself held Bryan to the floor. Doc let go of Bryan's face and the rest of us got off his body.
What the fuck was that?
Bryan grabbed his face and grimaced. Instead of lacerations, he now had powdered-covered scars decorating his head.
It's supposed to be for cauterizing arterial bleeding. It burns your flesh back together.
Then why the fuck did you use it on my face?
Because fuck you, I thought to myself. You told him to do it. Bryan glared at me with an intense hatred for every ounce of what I was. It started to snow harder. It started to fucking snow harder. It wasn't enough to just be colder than fuck and there'd be a foot of snow on the ground already. It had to fucking snow more. Our squad mustered in the plaza after our search of the hotels. Bryan was the only person we found in enough of a piece to still be alive. On our way out, I yanked a wool jacket out of a shattered closet and threw it at him. Since I technically knew Bryan, Fonzie stuck him with me. We formed back in a column and started patrolling through the alleys and streets. We didn't see anyone for a long time. No civilians to evacuate, no enemy soldiers to shoot, not even a fucking feral cat.
Hey.
Bryan tagged my shoulder. What?
So, what's going on? What's going to happen?
I didn't look at him. I kept my head and eyes ahead, searching for people and watching for the enemy who had yet to show themselves. We're gonna move a bit further out, then we're gonna link up with the trucks and they're gonna drive you back to some fucking base where you'll be evacuated to Germany or France or some fucking place where you'll probably be taken back to the States.
Well, what about all the other people?
Huh?
Like Satin. She's out there too somewhere.
Well, I'm not leading the patrol, so I can't just go get her. He looked at me with anxiety in his eyes.
But
we're not the only people walking around looking for people. There's more than an entire battalion of U.S. Marines walking around looking for fucks like you out here in the cold.
Oh, well that makes me feel a little better.
There's also a lot of Latvian army guys marching around. They'll probably find her, then lose her, and not even remember what the fuck happened. Bryan looked at me with a blank look on his face.
Why are you so cynical?
Shut the fuck up. We moved into a hotel lobby. It was a nice, ritzy place, minus the blown-out windows, glass, wreckage on the floor, pools of blood and body parts. Flynn grimaced.
I don't trust this place. I don't know about you guys, but getting waxed because a brick fell on my head isn't exactly the way I want to go out.
That's not getting waxed. Wax would be if the brick got a buffer and chewed you up.
McMillian replied.
What the fuck does that even mean, dude?
Fonzie gave the hand signal to halt and get down. Everyone found cover except Bryan, who stood there like a moron. I yanked him down by the belt. When we all get down, get the fuck down or you're gonna give away our fucking position and get us killed. Fonzie talked into the radio on his shoulder.
What's going on?
Bryan asked me. I don't know, he's probably talking to the company about pickup. Fonzie raised us back up.
We're gonna loop around south and link back up with the company. Enemy situation has not been distinguished.
The squad started following him out of the building down the street. We had moved about 2 clicks when McMillian screamed,
Contact left!
and started pouring rounds from his M4. Russian lead chipped holes in the concrete around us. We all scattered and dove for cover behind anything we could. Dumpsters, cars, and rubble. Bryan stood in the street, too shocked to move. I tackled him to the ground. You dumb fuck! I rolled off him and returned fire to the enemy. It was still snowing. My fingers were frozen and wet. My hands ached as I pulled the trigger. Fonzie barked at us.
Fall back! Building number 4 on the left! Flynn, throw smoke!
He pulled a grenade out of his pouch, screaming,
Frag out!
Smoke out!
The grenades popped. I grabbed Bryan and we ran back to the decrepit building. I pushed Bryan through the door and turned around to provide suppressing fire for the other Marines. Fonzie and McMillian found cover near the entrance and fired at the enemy. The squad sprinted behind us into the building. Fonzie led us out back of the building, and we bolted through the labyrinth of back streets and alleyways. The Fonz called in the contact report over the radio. No one had any idea where we were. Everything was gray. Nothing was written in English. We were fucking lost in that concrete jungle. Fonzie slowed to a trot and looked into a busted window.
All right, everyone in here, quick!
He counted us as we moved through the window to make sure we hadn't lost anyone. McMillian led the way in, muzzle first. Doc and I helped Bryan in next, then the rest of us scrambled through. We moved through the debris to a back room, out of sight from unwelcome eyes. Fonzie huddled us together.
Athena's on the way. We're gonna hold tight till then.
Who's Athena?
It's a cat platoon.
What's that?
It's the guys with the trucks, missiles, and machine guns.
Storm Palacios.
McMillian called.
Yeah.
What's the noise?
I hear it too.
Fonzie gestured his head.
McMillian and Kodak, go to the roof and check it out.
McMillian and I found the stairs and shuttled up the decks. We walked in slow, rifles at the ready. Ivan could have been anywhere. McMillian crept over to the window, being careful not to stand in front so no one could see him. I heard him grumble under his breath.
Fuck.
I looked at him worried. What?
Come here.
I edged over to the window and peered out. What the fuck? Walking down the street, if you would call it walking, was a 60-foot tall iron monster. It looked like an evil Norse god made a person out of a tank. It had a body, arms, legs, and a head. Its face had one big glowing red eye. It was carrying a rifle about the size of a howitzer, and there was a big red star painted on the left shoulder. It was bulky and crude, but nonetheless terrifying. How the fuck are we supposed to fight that? I looked at McMillian. The metal monster's eyes scanned the streets. A squad of Russian soldiers patrolled behind it. I pulled up my camera and snapped a few photos of the thing. McMillian and I raced down the stairs back to Fonz.
Sarn, you're not gonna believe this shit. There's a fucking transformer out there.
What?
I don't know, a transformer, or a fucking Gundam, or Mechagodzilla, or goddamned Metal Gear. I don't know what the fuck it was.
I pulled up the picture on my camera and showed it to Fonzie. His eyes grew in astonishment.
Well, that's just a fucking glorious fist-fuck fiesta, ain't it?
Sarn, it didn't look like they were searching buildings.
The Fonz looked around the room.
All right. Okay, we're gonna climb up these stairs, quietly. Then we're gonna hide out until these ass baskets pass and make movement later.
We climbed up to the top floor and perched. Fonzie called in a salute report and gave the COC our current situation. We sat there for about 20 minutes, staying clear of the windows and keeping the stairwell covered. Doc pulled an MRE out of his pack and started eating his main meal. I looked over at him. Really, dude?
Chow's continuous, man.
Half the other Marines followed suit and pulled out something to gnaw on. I opened mine and offered Bryan my main meal.
Thanks.
He took the green plastic sack of slop.
What is this?
I handed him the spoon from the pouch. It's food. Eat it. He grimaced at me. I guess he didn't like being told what to do. I opened another packet and bit into my crackers. The wind blew through the holes in the walls, chilling us to the bone. I had on my Gore-Tex top, but my pants, face, and feet were wet from snow, and I made the cardinal mistake of not bringing extra socks. I watched as the graying sky turned dark, the few fires still burning illuminated an obscure haze through the snow. I took a couple of pictures of us waiting around. The only light was coming through the window. Doc came and sat next to me.
This looks like it was someone's apartment.
Yeah, the photos that used to be on the walls laid covered in dirt and broken glass. A family portrait of a man and his wife and children sat on the floor. I picked up the frame and brushed away the shattered shards. I wonder if these guys got out or if the commies wasted them.
They're not the communists anymore.
Bryan tried to correct me, but we ignored him. I glanced over at McMillian, who was watching the window. He looked at the Fonz.
Sarn, I think they're gone.
Fonzie peered out the window. He then stuck his whole head out and looked around.
Yeah, we better get moving.
He radioed in that we were Oscar Mike. We slid back down the stairs, being careful not to stomp and make any racket. We didn't know how close the Reds were and didn't want to advertise our presence. The squad scurried across the road outside into another alleyway. The Fonz looked back to us.
If you can help it, don't step in snow. We don't want to give Ivan a trail.
We nodded our heads in compliance. After an hour of silent creeping through the streets, we came upon a church. The west side of the roof was blown out, letting in the sun-setting light. The altar and the pews were blown into splinters. A statue of Christ, with his hands out as if bidding welcome, stood out of a pile strewn about planks. The statue of Mary was laying on the floor, cut in half, with a dud artillery shell protruding from her chest. I snapped a few photos of the Marines looking at them. Crap! Boom!
Contact!
The squad leapt to the floor as Russian machine guns rattled above us, ripping away what was left of the flimsy church. I was curled in a ball on the ground, holding my Kevlar to my head. I looked up and Bryan was standing there paralyzed in fear, too overwhelmed with shock to move. I was too fucking hungover for this shit. Motherfucker! I jumped up and tackled Bryan. But when we hit the deck, instead of the feeling of a thud of two bodies hitting the floor, there was a blast, sharp pain, and then silence and darkness. I awoke to Doc slapping the shit out of me.
Wake the fuck up, Hank!
I looked around with a glazed stare. The Marines were all still firing towards the enemy. Doc was wrapping gauze around my left arm, and McMillian was tightening a tourniquet around the leg on the same side. Fonz was screaming into the radio while shooting and swearing at Ivan. Jesus and Mary were still standing out of the rubble. There was something on the wooden lacquered floor that looked like spaghetti. Really thick, chunky spaghetti, without the noodles. Doc was trying to talk to me, but I couldn't hear him. There was a loud ringing in my ears, and I couldn't find Bryan. Did they give him a weapon and have him hold security? Doc! I looked over at him. Doc said something. It looked like he was trying to tell me I was going to be okay, but I still felt like there was a gremlin fucking a dog whistle in my ears. I looked down at myself. I was drenched in blood and was shaking violently. I didn't know if the temperature had dropped while I was out or if I had lost that much bodily fluid. I was starting to be able to hear again. Doc!
Yeah, buddy, what is it?
Where's Bryan? Doc looked at me with a frightened look in his eyes.
Dude, when you dived on him, y'all landed on a grenade.
He motioned back with his head.
That's him on the floor.
Doc, there's nothing on the floor but spaghetti.
Yeah.
I stared at what was left of Bryan. Doc, I did not do that on purpose.
I believe you, man.
He patted me on the shoulder.
You lost a lot of blood, but you're gonna be alright.
Fonz turned around. He pointed out the doorway we came in from.
Break contact! Bound back 500 yards!
Doc and McMillian helped me to my feet.
Can you limp it, man, or do you need help?
I can do it, man, I said, huddling, trying not to get shot in the head. Doc let me go, and I face planted into the hardwood below.
Damn it, Hank!
Doc picked me up and slung me in a fireman's carry. I passed back out. When I stirred back from the darkness, Doc and a Marine I didn't recognize were loading me into the back of a Humvee. I guess we linked back with the rest of the platoon. That gave me a warm and cozy. It was still freezing out, and the snow was piling up higher on the ground. It was night, but because of all the white flakes, it was still easy to see. Doc, are we out? I felt a little better being awake this time. The hangover was gone, but my limbs were in agony. Doc patted my shoulder.
Yeah. And you need to lose some fucking weight, fat ass.
I smiled and raised my middle finger. I heard gunshots and tried to look behind me. Where's Ivan?
Across the block.
Marines started yelling and I could hear fire coming from just outside the vehicle. Doc looked around the corner.
Fuck!
He grabbed me by the flak and threw me into the alley the truck was parked beside. Doc jumped on top of me and the vehicle erupted into a ball of flame. The fuck?
Giant metal robot!
A couple of Marines tried to pull the Marines out of the burning truck, but they were mowed down by machine gun fire. I saw a couple of assaultmen from CAT across the street prepping a small. The Marines holding the tubes swore and the others shouted commands. The missile fired towards the Russian metal demon. It was out of my line of sight, but I heard an explosion. Then a loud creak, and a crash shook the ground around us. I forced myself to my feet and peered around the building to see what had happened. The robot-looking tank had its legs blown off and was on its back trying to balance itself. Its head rotated towards us and it grabbed the rifle it had dropped. It pointed in our direction. But before it could fire, another missile hit the shoulder, severing its arm. I didn't know at the time if it had a pilot or a crew, but I remember thinking, I hope they like bayonets shoved in their guts. Doc grabbed my arm and hoisted me over his shoulder. I slung my rifle on my back and pulled out my pistol. You think this time might be it, Doc? He looked at me, probably thinking about Gilgamesh.
Dude, if you get blasted, who's gonna put cigarettes onto me to prove Keanu Reeves is the greatest actor of all time?
It's Brad Pitt. Doc helped me to the end of the alleyway. Hold on, let's see if I can do this without face planting. Doc let me go and I leaned against the Swiss cheese checkered concrete wall. I pushed myself off. I think I got it.
You sure?
Yeah. I put my pistol back in its holster and unslung my M4. I gimped through an alleyway and we linked back up with Fonz's squad upstairs in the next building. Everyone was firing at the cyclic. Ivan was fucking everywhere. I reached for my camera, but there was a hole torn through the body and the lens was cut in half. I yanked out the memory card, tossed the camera away. Fonzie had an ear to the radio relaying information as he sent Ivan lead. He circled his hand in the air.
Athena's in the street! Fall back on the trucks!
The squad rushed out of the room and down the stairs. I followed, trying to shove the memory card into a pouch. The card fell. I kneeled to grab it. Pain shot up through my leg and I fell. I gritted my teeth and grabbed my leg. Damn it! I banged my Kevlar on the floor with my head and picked myself back up, snagging the card on the way. On the way down, I must have made a wrong turn. Instead of finding a bunch of Humvees filled with pissed off Marines, I found a platoon of Russian soldiers and a giant Soviet walking tank from hell. It pointed its cannon-sized rifle at me. The machine's eye flashed as I turned to run.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Thank you for listening to another chapter of Sing Goddess, The Wrath of the Fonz, Smokepit Fairytales Part 2. Which one were we on? Chapter 4, Ivan and the Mech. Alright, so I know that last time I said that I wanted to read some comments from stuff that's been posted from you guys, you know, stay part of the community and all that. I'm sober, I promise. So let's do that. Who's this? Doc Whiskey is saying, thank Gilgamesh. I mean, I bought all the books digitally, but I love the voice-acted versions. I was big sad when it vanished. Yes. Yeah, I was too. I was about to get monetized, man. But hey, the channel's back now. Or, well, it's not back, but you know, hey, we're doing it again. Just gotta try to build it back up. Because I would like to one day just do this instead of all the other stuff I gotta do to keep the lights on. Mainly painting. Which by the way, self-plug, I got a website and, you know, there's art on it. Some of it's fun. You can buy it and put it on your wall. It helps me keep doing these things. But, yeah, I'm glad we're back too, Doc. I like telling you guys stories. Then it's fun, you know, building a little community around it. I know we're not everywhere we can be yet, but we're slowly but surely pacing up that way. And I got some surprises for you coming in this book too. Well, you know, with some voice actors. But all right, what's next? Next, you need book 10, Trip. Book 10 should be soon. Let's see. I got 10, 11, and 12. They're already written. They are with their beta readers and the editor right now. Actually, what is it? Today's November 1st, so shit, by the time you watch this, I might have them back. I am shooting to have the last 3 books in this series available and out on print format, where bookshelves, on your fucking bookshelves by, I'm shooting for January to start that. But I still got to do a lot of the art. I'm about a third of the way through that. And then I still got to write all the music. Because, you know, if you haven't read these books and you're just following here on, you know, where we're doing the audiobook thing, I think in the 4th book, I start making it to where all the actors, not actors, where all the characters are musicians and there's sheet music in the back for the songs they play. So I got to do that. But hopefully that won't take too long. I have unfortunate news. So the Rex channel is no longer a thing because he said his computer is not working. He commented on every video. Yeah, Rex was a fun dude. He showed up and just commented on anything. I'm not sure how he is, you know, gone. Just because your computer stopped working doesn't mean they close your YouTube account. But you know what? Maybe there's something I don't know what's going on. But I guess now, Dub T224, that you're gonna have to take his place. Oh, hey, look at that! You're taking his place. Where's my comment, Dub? Johnny Walker. Any chance you're gonna release a full collection with the ammo can and that stuff on Amazon? So I believe that he is referencing the war chest, which, you know, is a, you know, custom painted 50 cal ammo can stuffed with the first 6 books of this novel series. And I know for sure there will be a war chest part 2 with the last 6 books once they're all out. I gotta figure out what to name it. So I'm thinking War Chest Mark II, you know, the full deuce, but we'll see. At some point though, I gotta find something that can hold all 12 of the books, you know? I gotta find a box big enough. And then, you know, they'll also be, you know, made to order like the last ones were, because 12 books in a metal box, that's gonna be $100 just to ship. And while I like the idea of getting a 12 book, you know, box set that's going to cost people, I don't know, $500 or $600 depending on how far I have to ship it. I like the idea of people getting that. I don't know if I'm popular enough for that yet. But hey, we'll see. Who knows what the future holds. Said of the end of the first Smokepit Fairytales book, from Doc Whiskey again. Yeah, I was wondering how you were going to handle the end. That was hilarious. Buddy, that wasn't the end. We got 11 more books to get through. That was just a pause. Oh, hey, here's Rex. I'm going to be permanently signing off because the screen on this laptop is broke. Bye. Just log in on a different computer or on your phone, or go to the library and watch it there. They got computers at the library. You can watch these at the library. They have computers, Rex. But seriously, I'm sorry about your laptop. Getting a new computer always sucks. Like, we're super reliant on them now, you know? And they're not exactly the most durable things on the planet. Doc Whiskey says he's gonna come. I already did. I think this is the Waltzing Matilda chapter, but Hazmat Suit says, great chapter here. Hats off to all the voice actors. Dude, I am having a lot of fun with my voice actors. And going back to that whole thing about building a community, it is really fun building a community for, you know, these books. And it's even better that I've crowdsourced almost all of it. Like, there was a lot more scrapping the first book around, but the second one, you know, I got almost all the voices before I started, and it's all, for the most part, people that have already, you know, like, read these books and want to be part of it. And that's been fun to get that together. Because, you know, we're all working on this, and it's all something we, you know, care about, you know? But also, if anybody wants to, you know, be part of this, you know, next book, I don't have that stuff set up yet. And when I go looking for voice actors for the next book, you know, I probably won't do it on YouTube because of, you know, I don't know when it'll be done. So, like, say, I think this one will stop, or the last chapter for this should be sometime in February, I believe. There's 20 chapters in this book. But, you know, hopefully I'll be done recording it way before that. So I'll start looking for voice actors on the third one. Shit, hopefully, I'm really hoping by the beginning of January. But, you know, I'll have those chapters for this book pre-recorded and, you know, set up for, you know, like a scheduled release before that. So I guess you'll have to follow me on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or something for the announcements on that. But also, though, if you do want to be a voice actor in any of these, when I make the announcement that I'm looking for stuff, I'm not telling you what to do or anything. I'm just saying I find it pretty frustrating when somebody is like, hey, man, I want to be part of this. And I'm like, cool, man. What kind of microphone you got? And they're like, I don't have a microphone or a computer. And it's like, yeah, how are you going to be doing voice acting, you know, if you don't have a microphone? Okay, all right, yeah, sure. I mean, because, you know, I'm doing all this via email, you know? Kind of need the equipment. Whatever. All right, next. This was on the Last Drag episode with Diane Spencer. Best episode of One Last Drag so far. The episode with Chancellor's voice actor was great, but hearing Penelope basically break the fourth wall was like Mountain Standard Time 3000 was fun. I don't know what Mountain Standard Time has to do with this being fun, but yeah, Vorthosorian, it was fun. I enjoyed talking to her. I enjoyed talking to all these people. But Diane Spencer's great, and you should go check out her channel. But speaking of her, Bryce says how her voice is attractive, or maybe it was just her reading for Penelope. Thanks for the awesome filler. Now give me more audio chapters. I'm doing that now, Bryce. You just have to have had a little patience. Are we there yet? Yeah, you love it. Thanks. Black Adam says this show is the only reason that he has Spotify. Well, thanks for tuning in, man. All right, so with that, I would like to thank my cast for this chapter. So we got Chuck LaVoki back as Doc, and then Dan Brady playing Eclair, Travis Weidemann playing the Fonz, Clayton Sims playing McMillian, and Clayton Sims from oh man, that's my furnace. Great. Well, the rest of this audio is gonna suck. Anyway, oh my god. Clayton Sims playing McMillian, and Clayton Sims fucking runs the fucking ZipDiv page, and he has a lot of good information for vets dealing with the VA after, you know, their end of service, so definitely go check him out. Got Matt Kupcikevicius playing the Lieutenant Colonel, got Joseph Daisy Flowers playing Bryan, and he's one of my old barracks buddies from back in, I think Quantico. Quantico? Yeah, Quantico. He's a fun dude. We got some fun lines for him later. Actually, we had fun lines for him here. We got him doing a few characters. We got Eric Pickle playing DeLeon. We got Steve Agostine playing the Latvian civilian. He's also got a pretty good podcast. It's called Wantin' Wednesdays. I'll have it. Yeah, go check him out. And then we got Jon Q Haskell playing Flynn. So shout out to the 3rd Canadian Patrol Ranger Group. I really hope I didn't butcher that. I'm not opening a word doc. I gave you the right shout out last time. 3rd Canadian. What the fuck are you guys? Goddamn Canucks. I got so much shit open on my computer right now. Oh, it's not even that one. Come on, buddy. 3rd Canadian Ranger Patrol Group. I was right the first time, I think. Whatever, it snowed here today, so, you know, I'm with you on it. All right, so with that, I would like to thank everyone that follows me over on Patreon, and they've had this chapter since Halloween. They've had this chapter since Halloween, and you're not getting it until insert today's date here. That's one of those perks. I think that's the only perk. You get stuff early. It helps the channel. And by it helps the channel, I mean it helps me. I'll buy cigarettes and beer with it, you know, the money you give me on Patreon. So thank you all for that. I'd like for one day this to be a full-time thing. And we all know I'm not getting fucking ad revenue on these fucking YouTube videos, so yeah! Anyway, thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon, and to everyone who's got an award chest. When are you seeing this? You're seeing this in a couple of weeks. Mid-November. Okay, so the thing with the war chests, they are expensive to make, which is why they're expensive to buy. And that's also why I don't just keep a bunch of them, you know, ready to ship out when someone orders them. I build them to order, so if you order one, I don't start putting them together until someone orders them. And it takes me like 2 weeks to get stuff after I order it for myself. Because, like, I don't know, there's this fun thing that happens where if you go buy a book off of Barnes & Noble or, you know, Amazon or something, they can send it to you the next day. But since they're the books that I, myself, personally wrote, if I order my books, I don't get them for 2 weeks. So if you want a war chest before Christmas, you kind of need to order it, like, today. If you want it to be there before Christmas. Because I'm not even going to be able to send it out until, I don't know, 2 weeks after that, maybe 3. So, yeah, that's the thing. Anyway, thank you for standing through all these rumblings that I've been making. I'm gonna edit this while I listen to Wendigoon's friggin' episode about Ted Kaczynski that he just dropped. And I like Wendigoon. I mean, granted, I don't watch all those videos at once because, you know, they're 4 hours long. I wonder if he'd be down to do some voice acting at some point. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe if I play my cards right, one day we'll do an audiobook that's all, you know, big names that everybody knows. Or maybe not all, but, you know, like half and half. You know, half them and then half the people that have been doing it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think you guys would like that. Although we do have Luke from Wartime Stories showing up here in a couple of chapters. So, you know, that's a thing. All right. Anyway, thanks, everybody, for hanging out, your support and all that. I'm sure you've listened to me ramble long enough. I'm going to have fucking fun editing this. Here are your bloopers, and I'll catch you next week.
After the captain left, the executive officer, Fox Company split into squads and started combing.
There's already a SEALs team. God, fuck.
Instead of lacerations, Bryan now had powder-covered scars. Oh, okay.
Don't bother shaving! Oh, shit. Hold on. I just accidentally exited out of the script. What the? Every button exits out.
Bryan's screen. Oh, we already did this. Cool. Okay, sweet.
It's okay, man. It's okay. You speak English. That was McMillian again. Next line's mine. The Latvian civilian.
We're going to move out a bit further, and then we're going to go link up with the trucks, and they're going to drive you back to some fucking base where you'll be evacuated to Germany or France or some fucking place where you'll probably be taken back to the States. That was not right.
It's supposed to be for arterial bleeding. I forgot the other word.
We're not the only people walking around looking for people. What the fuck was that? We're going to move a bit further out, and then we're going to link back up with the trucks, and then we're going to drive...
Well, what about the other people? Like Satan. Motherfucker. Like Satan.
We're going to move a bit. We're not the only people walking around looking for people. There's more than an entire... Fuck me. The squad started following him down the building. The squad followed. I pushed Bryan through the door and turned around to provide suppressing fire for the other. I had on my Gore-Tex. I slung my rifle across my back and pulled out my pistol. I fucking swear to God,